Hey, everybody, welcome to Text Request Talks, where we have conversations with business leaders about how they make things happen. Presented by Text Request, the business text messaging platform that lets you text from your office phone number directly on your computer or any other device so you can stop making phone calls and start actually getting responses. Learn more at textrequest.com. I'm Kenneth Burke, and today we're talking with Robert Mitchell, who is the Chief AI Officer for WSI World. Robert, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure the first question everybody has is what exactly is a chief AI officer? What do you do?
Oh, wow. That's a fancy title for we talk about AI, we sleep AI, we eat AI, so that you don't have to. I guess the way I put it. But more specifically, more of a business use case scenario, we help others because of that knowledge base. We help others deploy AI solutions in a strategic way, but also with the right methodology, the right policy, and the right protections ethically. All the ways you want to deploy a new technology, right?
So, and then WSI is a marketing agency, a consultancy in general.
We would call ourselves a franchisor first and foremost
Okay.
because we operate. I think it's close to four or 500, not 4,500, 4 or 500 locations around the world. We've been. We always say we're 2 years pre Google is when we started. So we've been doing digital marketing services for several decades now, and our business model has been to just help individual franchise or individual business owners or entrepreneurs set up digital marketing agencies around the globe. And it's a great partnership because they're the front lines of our brand, and we have the back lines behind the scenes that do all of the solutioning and all of a whole huge supplier network that helps those owners deploy those solutions for their clients. So, in one sense, yes, we're a digital marketing agency, but not at the corporate level. So, not me. I don't know anything about digital marketing. I'm the AI guy. So,
What
but recently, just to kind of continue that narrative, recently, I'd say about 3 years ago, we noticed the AI kind of rumbling, so we decided to pivot, which is why our slogan is "Embrace digital, stay human." And that's before ChatGPT came out. We came up with that, and all that is to slowly integrate AI solutions both in what our franchise owners are doing for their clients, but also we're developing a whole other product line for our franchise owners, which is AI consultancy. So we're helping them deploy AI tools for their clients, which are small, medium, and even large businesses and some enterprise level.
I think your slogan touches on the heart of what some people are really excited about and others are really anxious about, which is using AI while keeping the human side of things. How do you approach that? What does that mean to you all?
Well, it is a spectrum. I mean, there are chicken littles on one end, and I can't wait to live on the beach while AI does all my work for me on the other end, right? So there's a lot of people in the middle, right? And so we have to navigate that with them. We have to make them open their eyes to the opportunity, and more importantly, I had to say scare them a little bit, scare them in the sense of this, not in the chicken little way, but in the sense that um, there's going to be two types of businesses in the future: those who use AI and those who are closed. And now that's not hyperbole. If you think about what we're doing with AI, we're not. So artificial intelligence adoption is not a SaaS product that you deploy company wide. That's not how it works. It shouldn't be how it works, I should say. It's about identifying the tasks of a particular workflow, a particular role in a particular department, of a particular industry, right? All these particulars. But the point is that once we are able to unlock the potential of of an individual and take a 30 clicks of a mouse type of a task down to one, that employee now has got more time and has the ability to do more human-based activities. That efficiency that we unlock is just one employee. Now we scale that across the whole organization. You're getting 20 to 40% productivity gains. You cannot ignore that. If you do it and your competition does it and you don't, you are left in the dust. You can't compete with that efficiency because they can lower their pricing or they can increase their profits. And so that's why it's not hyperbole when you say wake up now or you will be closed in the future.
I know for some people it's hard to make that feel tangible. Can you give an example, maybe a specific example of a client or a franchise location that is um, replacing a tedious process with AI, and then what does the extra human time look like?
Absolutely. Very easily done. This happened maybe a month ago. I was talking with during our process, we do something called deep dives, and we take a potential department. I mean, usually in franchising, it's fran dev, operations, accounting, marketing, and then a franchise owner. And we were having the conversation with the franchise owner to understand the four walls of the business owner. The beauty of franchising, I'm going to segue here. The beauty of franchising, Kenneth, is that we have the biggest opportunity to unlock this because all you got to do is fix a problem at the store level, the four walls of the business model. And if you have 1,000 locations, holy crap, your royalties just went up. Because if all 1,000 of those implemented that one little change and they're more efficient and their sales went up, then royalties went up. Anyway, so going back to this particular franchise owner, we were asking him about his task and he was talking about payroll. And he was very creative. He had this very creative method. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, but he was very creative. He has a delivery model. I won't get into the details, but he he pays his employees on a bonus schedule. See, they get a base pay of dollars per hour, and if they are up on the sales training, if they don't look at their phone while they're in their truck, if they don't have any accidents, obviously, if they are efficient when how quickly they can deliver, like if they're delivering 5 a day or 10 a day, whatever their KPIs were, they check all these boxes, then they get the max amount of paid for that week. Okay. Now, you tell me that's easy to monitor with 50 employees. It's not. So he took a whole day every 2 weeks to do this. Spreadsheet here, pull data from this tool, pull data from this tool that monitors the camera inside of the vehicle and all that stuff. Now we all do that automatically. It's all done. Like it's all comes to his one centralized database of, well, it's a spreadsheet of all the data. So not only can he see what each employee makes so that he can correctly put it on their payroll, but also which employees are performing good and bad based on these different metrics. So it's not only it's a dashboard and a accounting tool. So all that was done, a whole day's worth of work. You do the math. I'm not sure what he was probably paid, 50, 60,000 a year for his role. And that one day, twice a month, I guess it would be. That's huge unlock, right? So does that help you out?
Yeah, I think that's a great example. And then how are you seeing people use it to, or companies use it to create better customer experiences as well? That's something I spent a lot of time thinking about.
Wow, there's several ways we can go with that. So, the first thing that most people would think is that you're going to have an AI bot on your website. But I would argue that's not the best way to do customer service. The best way to have customer service is to have really good employees who are answering your customers' questions, maybe. And so a lot of the tool we built this a couple of times for clients is an internal chat bot. So when you have employees, you have high turnaround, maybe at a call center or maybe a customer service rep, you're going to want them to be well informed of your products and solutions. And so if they're on a call and somebody's asking a question and they don't know it, if you have an internal bot, or I hate to say bot, but an assistant that knows everything about your organization and can only answer questions about your organization. And you're on the phone with Susie and it's like, she's got a problem with her widget and it's not behaving properly. What do I do? It's like, oh, and they pulls up the documentation and answers the question for him. And that's capable by a great product called Easy Assist that if anybody is in the franchise world, you've heard of Raphael, and Shrey's product that they put out recently. And it's brilliant. It's specifically for franchisors and allows the operations team to do the best support possible to their franchise owners because all of the questions are answered that are typically, if you just looked at the operations manual, would be in there kind of thing, right? So that kind of, they're different products that I just talked about, but my point is that they kind of align on the same methodology, is that you're empowering your team to have the knowledge to answer customer questions.
Yeah, and I love the reframing of that from what normal people or people typically think about using a bot, right? Is what you said is not a great situation where it's customer facing, it's replacing the rep. And in this case, it's enhancing the rep. It's
exactly
augmenting. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to, I want to say I'm an AI, but I hate going to chat bots. I hate when a bot is on the phone with me. I don't like that. I'm a human interactor. So if you empower that that customer service rep with all the answers, then they're a super employee. That's what we say at WSI all the time, is we're supercharging your powers, the employees. So
Where do you see people tend to get this wrong? Like they go down the route of adding AI into something and they just really miss the mark.
that's an easy answer. It's a hammer in search of a nail.
Mm.
So I was at a marketing AI conference last week, and there's lots of AI solutioners, AI suppliers out there, and the problem when they try to pitch their solution to you is that they are a hammer in search of a nail, and they want you to use their tool, and they're trying to sell you on how their tool could be used in the organization, and that's the wrong way to look at it. You need to look at the problem that needs solving, and then find the right method to fix that problem. It's often the problem with Salesforce, no offense to them or other SaaS products, is they do come in with a huge SaaS solution and they kind of just knock off that and push it and force it into the organization, and just so it barely fits and doesn't really fit. Everybody's got to force to change all their workflows to make it work within the way that their system works, which I hated that when I got forced to use a software. Imagine this: don't change anything. Leave all your files where they are, all your workflows. And all you're going to do is like this one stage of your workflow, just it's done. It's done for you. Done. Don't worry about having to, have an outside product that you get to force to use their system. I think that's the wrong implementation, if you ask me.
Is there a way that you can share that you personally use AI to run more efficiently or to make more
I'm gonna
money?
flip that, Kenneth. I'm gonna ask it a different way. So we recently, when we do training for all of our franchisor clients, we start with two main workshops, and that's to upskill everybody and to inform everybody to say, basically, you're still relevant. Don't worry, we're not coming for your job. Neither is AI. But be on notice that if you don't get excited about this, you will be at the bottom of the list whenever there are changes to be made. Just be honest, because if you're excited and you want to use AI, you're going to get superpowered. If you don't, then you're going to be down here, right? So we do lots of training, we do lots of workshops, but what one of the training survey questions we've been asking recently is this, to answer your question in a roundabout way. How dependent, on a scale of 1 to 10, how dependent are you on AI for your daily work? So if you think about it from that perspective, I'm a 9. Like I can't tell you a task that I did today besides talking right now that didn't use AI. And we took out our AI. So we did have a transcriber on this call, right? That we took out that was going to be AI, and even on this task. So I use it for literally everything. I push the envelopes on the daily requirements for the token limits because I need presentations done. I need conversations. I need to plan for a framework. I need to do emails. Everything is iteration and ideation. Sometimes I'm doing automations through other tools to help me with my lead gen, because I'm obviously reaching out to find new clients. We're automating all of that through AI. So I can't think about any of my tasks. I guess it's funny, Ken, if I went back, or Kenneth, if I went back 2 years ago, I was a terrible employee. I was absolutely horrible. Like you hired me and I was producing this. I mean, now all the waters are rising, so everybody's going to have higher expectations because of AI, good or bad.
Well, and you've just listed off a lot of things that you use it for, but are there situations where it's still a hammer in search of a nail that you're seeing people add into their daily lives, or is that not happening so much?
Is it still a hammer in search of a nail in my daily life? Well, when I want to know what to cook for dinner, or a good recipe for cookies, or do I want to, a lot of the time the tools aren't all the way good at everything, right? So we're not at the point where it can build the presentation for you. It can build the outline, but then I have to go over here to get the imagery, right? Which I've done that a lot with this last presentation I'm doing for the Franchise Success Summit coming up here in a couple months. I'm speaking out on AI. Every image is generated by AI. The whole PowerPoint outline was generated. The outline was generated by AI, but I gave it the inputs, right? So that's where the human in the loop comes in. Like, you don't want to just use it. So I wanted to follow the Simon Sinek's rules of presenting. So I want to make sure it had that as an element of the outline. So it learned, but Simon Sinek's, I gave it all the parameters of that framework, right? The art of presenting. And so I know now I'm going to follow his framework in that outline. So it's that kind of stuff. I know I'm not answering your question, but I'm having a hard time not using it.
Yeah, well, you're kind of getting there too, because really what I was meaning to get at was, what are things that it does really well and what are things that it does poorly? And you're saying, just there, it's
Math,
fantastic for the outlines. There you go.
it doesn't do math. So don't you use it for math yet. Now it does math in the sense that you have it can access a Python or create a Python script to do calculations for you, but it really quite isn't quite ready to handle a 10,000 row Excel document, and it's shown that it hasn't quite gotten there yet, unless you're using the advanced data analysis, which is Python code and whatnot. But yeah.
How did focusing more on you now, how did you, I guess, transition into this role as chief AI officer? And because you were, you've had a franchise development background, a sales background for most of your career. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've been at Friend Dev for about 23 years, or in franchising for 23 years as either Friend Dev or owning my own franchise, or just different levels of real estate as well. And so I guess I'm a bit of a spark plug, I just stole that from Step Brothers anyway. But my point is that my background is that I like to figure stuff out. So I've self-taught myself Photoshop and all these softwares, and I'm kind of techie and by nature. And so when AI came out, I was bored all of December. You know how Decembers are kind of slow with Friend Dev and everything else, and I ate it up. And so then I got asked to talk at the IFA for a panel with Dan Monahan and Patty Rother and Jack Munson, and that was the genesis of my relationship with WSI, because Dan Monahan is the founder and president of WSI, or CEO. So that's kind of how I got started in it, just by being an advocate. And this for those listening, Ken, and this is important because people don't get this. All of our clients so far have not been CEOs coming to me saying, "Hey, we want AI adoption." It's been director level. It's been other people saying, "I think this is awesome." And they are the squeaky wheel in their organization. They then become the AI champion, and their role completely shifts. I've heard this dozens of times. They shift, and now I want you in charge of this. Go make it happen. And they turn into this huge beacon in the organization, not owned by any department, which is how it should be, by the way. It should not be owned by IT or, marketing. And this champion is able to go to all the departments and kind of rally the troops and get all the use cases, and we slowly work with that person to implement solutions. Anyway, so that's a big part of it. Is I became a champion, and then these other people are doing the same thing, my same pathway I did.
Have you always been a self-motivated tinkerer and learner, or where do you go to keep improving those skills and pushing those intellectual boundaries?
Well, this is going to sound terrible, but TikTok. And you think, TikTok can be you watching videos of kittens and dance videos and whatever. But when you train the algorithm right, I get 90% of my videos are AI people. And I gotta tell you, there's people out there that are much better than I, and they're still on top of things. There's papers and there's different tools that they're trying out. All these people are brilliant on TikTok, and they're quick sound bites. So you can absorb all of this really fast. And of course, I get all these newsletters. I do an AI meetup every Monday with our whole network. So every Monday morning or at noon, we do an hour giving them an update. So I get all the information from all these TikTok and YouTube videos and newsletters and say, "Okay, everybody, this is what we learned this week in AI." And so, but back to your point, yes, I enjoy it and I find it interesting. So it's kind of my hobby. And so when you have a hobby like this, you just can't help it.
Robert, this has been a great conversation. One last question for you. If there's one AI takeaway you want everyone listening to make sure they take away, they implement, what would it be?
Stop using Google. And the reason why I say that is because everybody has been conditioned. Just Google it. That was an adjective or whatever, adverb. Can't think of my terms. In the last 10 years, just Google that. Even there was even a website that was called "Let Me Google That For You" when people ask a dumb question to you, right? So the reason why I say go to ChatGPT instead of Google, or any language model for that matter, is because it's shifting. And you as a business owner, you as a franchisor have to recognize that it's going to be a massive paradigm shift to how customers are seeking your brands. So you better start being a user so you can ideate how to get ahead of that. So start using for the first week, for all week long, instead of going to Google for your solutions, go to ChatGPT. Or if you want a hybrid, go to perplexity.ai. That allows you to kind of get the AI and a little bit of the search as well. Now, you'll start to recognize that you don't need Google anymore, and you don't have to go through blue links to get your darn answers met. So that is number one, part one. And part two, Kenneth, sorry, is bring it to every problem you have. You have Einstein in your back pocket. Why would you not want to bring an expert on every topic to every conversation you have, every meeting, every task you have? Do it. That's it.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.